right, for today's project, we're going to be testing out the Cricut Knife Blade. So the materials that I'm going to be using are the strong grip mat, so the purple one, and I do need some painter's tape to secure the wood to the mat. I have this package here. It's the Cricut basswood, and this is 12 by 6 inches, and it does come with 4 sheets. So we aren't going to be making anything this intricate today. We're just going to make the 2 little ornaments that we already decided on. And I also have my blades. So I'm going to be using the knife blade. Okay, so it looks like this. We're going to be swapping the knife blade with the fine point blade. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And then I'll be using my Maker 3, which I have here, and I'll pull it in on the screen in just a second. So here I am in Design Space, and before I can use my knife blade, I want to make sure that my machine is calibrated correctly. So I'm going to come up here to my name, click on the down arrow, then I will click on Settings, then I will go over to Machines, and then I will come down to this middle option, which is Calibrate Machine, and then I'm going to be choosing Knife Blade. This is also where you could calibrate your rotary blade and do print and cut calibration as well. So I'm going to choose Knife Blade. The knife blade is in my Maker 3 in Clamp B, and then I have a piece of paper in the top left edge of my mat, and then I'll click Continue. Okay, so then I'm going to load the machine and press the flashing arrow button. Okay, once the machine has pulled the mat in and measured everything to make sure everything is ready, the Go button is flashing, so now I will press that and we'll wait for this to calibrate. Okay, now that my machine has cut several lines into the paper, I'm going to unload the mat, and then I'm going to take a look and see which of the lines are perfect. It'll ask me to count down from the top, so I will select the number that's the correct one, and you want it to be this way, which is like perfectly even. Basically, it's going to cut a line, and then it's going to cut a line in the other direction. And wherever they overlap, that's bad. You don't want that. So pick the one that is literally perfect. Then I'm going to click Continue and then Close. So now my machine is calibrated. Let's go ahead and get a couple of images that we can go ahead and test out the knife blade with. So I think what I want to do is I want to come over to Images, and I'm going to look up the state of Idaho. And I am going to choose an outline, and let's see. I want to just make sure, I kind of want the most simple lines. I don't want something super technical. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this particular state of Idaho. Put that there on my canvas. Then I want to also choose Texas. And we're going to do the same thing. And again, I'm looking for lines that are nice and not, I don't want to say smooth, but that's not what I mean. But like here, it looks like a little more jaggedy detail. I'm going to make a Texas. Then I'm going to collapse this menu. And obviously this is way too big. I'm going to come up here to size. Let's go ahead and make the width about 3 inches and see how tall that is. Okay, so here is my little Texas. Probably could make that a little bit bigger, kind of like that. Let's do that. And so that's just a little bit bigger than a Post-it note. And then this one here, this is roughly 2.5 by 4. Let's see how they compare. There we go. I think that's better. So we'll make this one a little bit bigger. So now I have my state of Texas. And I have my state of Idaho, and these are solid. Okay, so it's just going to cut around those lines. But I want to turn these into ornaments. I'm actually going to come up here to Arrange and make sure that it does not say Send to Back. Okay, like the Texas, I'm going to say Send to Back. And basically, when I go and put a little hole in these will show up behind the circle that I grab. Let's go over to Shapes. Grab a circle and collapse this menu here. We don't need it. I'm going to come over, move the circle over, and I want to make that circle pretty small. In fact, let's blow up our canvas so we can see what we're doing. Each of these large boxes here are about 1 inch. So my circle there is like that small. I think that's good for ribbon. Let me change the color. Let's go ahead. We'll just make it pink just for fun. And actually, let's turn the Idaho white so we can see it. So I'm going to take my circle. I'm actually going to duplicate that because we're going to need one of them for the Texas. So I'll move that over here, and then I'm going to zoom back out. Next, I'm going to take these circles and I'm going to put them where I think I want them to be in my little ornament. Okay, so I'm going to put that about right there. Okay, this one, I'm actually going to put this one here in the panhandle, like so. Let's go ahead and turn that Texas white as well, so we can kind of really see where everything is. So I think that is perfect for the Texas. I'm going to select both of those items together, and then I want to come down here to combine, and then I'm going to click on subtract. And so what that did is it permanently subtracted out the circle for, where I'm going to put my ribbon. So Texas is ready to go. And then this is my Idaho. And I'm thinking I want to make that circle a little bit smaller. And let's see if we can put that here. Maybe here in this panhandle. I'm nervous that the circle is too big for that part of the Idaho, but we're going to give that a try. I'm going to grab both of those. I'm going to come over to combine and subtract. So this is ready to go and this is ready to go. All right, now that I have everything the way I wanted, I'm going to go ahead and click the Make button. We're going to get all of our settings ready for cutting, and then we're going to head over to the overhead camera. So this is my mat right here. I'm going to go ahead and, too far. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I want to be able to see the whole thing. We are going to need to move our pieces so that I can tape them down so that they don't move. So the first thing that I'm going to do is move Idaho out of the way, and I'm going to need to put painter's tape on my mat. So I know it sounds weird, but I'm going to turn the Texas upside down and put it back in the corner. And that way I can tape all of this area. It won't interfere with that circle. I'm also going to move it over. So the basswood is 12 by 6. Okay, so I'm going to leave this edge here for the painter's tape. And I think that's good. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the Idaho. I'm going to bring that down, and I'm just going to put it about right here. So I'm saving a little bit of space. Okay, and then I think that's going to be just fine. The next thing will be to click continue. Now we're going to choose our material. So I already have the basswood bookmarked, but if you don't, you can go to browse all materials, and then you can scroll down, or you can just type in wood, and then you'll get these options here. I'm just using the Cricut basswood, and I just chose that one. It's actually already chosen. So I'm going to click done. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to move our star wheels all the way to the right or left, depending on what side of your machine that they're on. And then we're going to make sure that the material that we use is secure to the strong grip mat. We're going to be using our painter's tape. And default pressure, there is really only one pressure for the knife blade. And so we're going to load our materials with the knife blade and clamp B. Once we load our mat and it's been pulled in, measured, ready to go, then the go button will flash and we'll be able to click the go button. So let's go ahead to the overhead camera, get our mat ready, and we'll start cutting this out. Okay, let's go ahead and get our mat ready. I'm going to pull out one of the sheets of the basswood and take a look at it. Actually, there's 4 different sheets, and obviously the color of each sheet may vary. I actually think I think I like this one here for the ornaments. So these are gonna go back. Okay, and before we get started, I just want to show you, this was like when I first started playing with the knife blade, and I chose a very intricate design, my name, as you can tell. And so I've learned a few things about the knife blade, but the big thing I learned is you've got to make sure that this is absolutely stuck down onto that mat, because if it comes up at all, then some of these intricate pieces, they buckle and they get in the way of the knife blade, and then they pop up like that. So, and then another thing to avoid is an outline. So I chose Idaho, and you can see right here where it's got this outline. And I didn't realize that the image I had chosen to practice with was an outline only. So today, that's why I chose a solid image. Now it did cut the Idaho nicely. All right, so here's my little Idaho. I don't have a hole in it. I can make a hole with my drill, that'll be fine. But this is the end result that I got from playing around with this the second time. So as far as my name was a bust. I may still try it again because I've learned a lot more about the intricate cuts, but the big solid ones seem to do really, really well. All right, let's go ahead and get our mat ready. Okay, so this is my strong grip mat, and as you saw, I put my little images here on the left side of the mat. So I'm gonna put this basswood here, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my brayer, and I'm going to really press down on this wood. I want to make sure that this wood is not going to be coming off of this mat, or coming up from the mat actually. Okay, I think that's great. And then I'm going to take my painter's tape, and I'm going to tape all 4 edges, and I want to be kind of as far away from where the images are going to be as possible. So there's one edge there. Okay, and then our final edge. Okay, so now our mat is ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and prep our Maker 3. Let me bring that in. All right, I have my Maker 3 here ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and open this drawer, and we're going to swap out the fine point blade. I'm just going to put it right there for now, and I'm going to grab the knife blade. Now this, let me bring it up here so you can see. This top housing here, the part of it that does not have the plastic is going to go toward the back of my machine, and then this front side with the plastic is going to be facing me. So I'm just going to stick that into clamp B just like this. Okay, and I'm going to close it, make sure it's locked and ready to go, and I'll just put my blade in my holder. Okay, so this is now ready to go. That knife blade is in clamp B. I have my flashing light for loading. The other thing that I want to do is, I really like this little contraption here. I got this off Amazon, and it just really keeps my mats from bending down. So now I'm going to take my mat, load it into my machine. Now this star wheel right here, before we do that, I'm going to move that star wheel all the way to the right hand side. So I'm just going to take it and slide it. This is not good for the manicure. There we go. So all 4 of my star wheels are over here. You definitely want them out of the way of the basswood. Okay, now I'm going to load the mat. I'm going to go ahead and click on the flashing arrow. Okay, now that this is ready, I'm going to click the flashing go button. Now this is going to take a while, so I am going to do some other crafts while I'm waiting for this. But in your time, I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, so my wood is done with the cutting. So I've already hit the unload button, and I'm going to pull this out and move this out of the way. Okay, so let's go ahead and start removing these. Okay, so full disclosure, about halfway through, my machine and my computer stopped talking to each other. So I did have to restart the machine, and even though I was in the middle of the project, so I restarted the machine, I restarted the cutting, and just kind of watched it. And I think at some point, actually I had to do all this twice actually. So at some point when I was doing this, I must have got my mat off a little bit, which, that happens. So what I'm gonna do when I take these off is I'm just gonna go around the edges with a really fine grit sandpaper just to make sure that, the cuts are clean. Mostly not because of the Cricut that, didn't cut it correctly, but because my machine and my computer stopped talking to each other. Okay, so I'm just bending my mat and pulling that away. Okay, and then you can see here we have our little pieces. So now I'm just going to pop these out of where they are. And I'm going to be really careful. Okay, so here's my Texas. Okay, and then so you can see here that my Idaho is not fully cut out on the back side. So I'm going to have to recut this here in just a moment. And when I get this finished cutting, I'll be back. Okay, so take number 2. I'm pretty sure that this is done. So I'm going to actually just bend my mat and see if I can pull up the Idaho, and just then I can work with the other. Okay. All right, so I'll deal with that in a moment. And you can see, depending on what designs that I want to do, I still actually have quite a bit of real estate, at least here and here. Probably not down here. Okay, so a couple things. I'm just going to go like this with my little sanding pad here. Now you may find that this is not necessary, but I'm doing this since I had to restart my job. I just want to make sure that it is smooth. Okay, so I think that is good, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Texas. Now while I was recutting, I went ahead and got my white chalk paint, and I just did a simple kind of a whitewash coat. It's not real dark. I can still see the wood grain through, but I wanted to just make that little Texas white because we're going to go ahead and put these together as some ornaments. Let me zoom in for you. There we go. All right, so I think these look great. Overall, I would say that this is definitely a success as far as cutting. There is a little bit of a learning curve, and I would definitely start out with big shapes like this. I probably would not do your name first off like I tried to. It's a little too intricate until you get used to how the knife blade works and how your machine handles it. Personally, I just suggest that you make your own little wood cutouts. So these would be similar to like what you might find, the little wood cutouts that you can find them at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Dollar Tree, etc. Okay, let's decorate these since we made some ornaments. Okay, so as far as the Texas is concerned, I have this really fun Texas sticker pack. I got this at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just gonna take one of these stickers out of here, and I'm gonna put it in the middle of my Texas. All right, so I definitely like the boot. So that's a possibility. So I could put that boot like right here. That's actually not bad. And then I could have these little, I could put the boot here and then have the little horseshoes kind of overlapping. Could totally do that. I don't know if I have room for both boots. I think that might be a little too big. And we've got a little star here. We have a skull, but I'm leaning toward this one here that says Lone Star State. And I think that that's the one I want to do. I think it's funny because I lived in San Antonio forever. Moved from the Houston Metroplex area. I lived in Houston for a little while and then I moved outside of Houston, but I lived there for a long time. I've got friends and family in Dallas, and I lived and went to school in Austin for a while. So kind of fun going down memory lane. All right, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to grab my little sticker off of this sticker sheet. Okay, and then I'm going to use some tweezers so that my fingers are out of the way. And then I'm going to place this kind of here in the middle. I know it's a little off center, but actually I could put it there too. So let's see how wide Texas is. Texas is 1, 2, 3. Texas is 4 1/4 wide on my glass mat. And it is approximately 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it'll be about right here. And let's say kind of about right there. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my brayer and kind of brayer that down a little bit. All right, so there's that. Nice, easy, simple craft. And then I have some twine, some jute twine here. And I also have this. This is like a silver. And I'm kind of leaning toward this since these are going to be ornaments. Let's see if this is going to look good. Okay. So we're going to take our string, we're going to loop it, and then we're going to go through that little front door right there. Okay. And then we're going to pull it through the back. So let me cut this off. We're going to take these strings and we're going to send that through that loop, just like so. And then we have a really nice, and it sits real pretty. Okay, so just like that. And then we can tie that into a look like a little bow. I actually like that. I don't even think I'm going to try the twine. So let's do a little bow up here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my reverse tweezers to kind of hold that. And then we can make our little bow. Okay, how cute is that? Oh my goodness. Okay, that is super cute. I really love that. This is so fun. First of all, I'm excited that I can cut stuff like this on my Cricut, and then I can just, you know, make a little ornament for myself, for anyone else. And then I think I'm going to need to make a Utah and a Florida. Kind of trying to catch where all the family are. Okay, now for the Idaho, I think I'm going to leave this one plain. And I have this little stamp here. This is from Honeybee Stamps, and it is an Idaho stamp. Isn't that fun? And it has, you know, mountains and all the things. So all my favorite little things. Okay, so I'm going to take this Idaho and I'm going to line up on the grid line. I'm going to line up that horizon. So get that, okay? And then I'm just going to use my finger to take off that manufacturer coating. You could also use an eraser. I find my fingers do an effective job. And then I'm going to stick Idaho right here. And you know, I probably should make sure this is going to fit. Ooh, barely. Okay. So I need my Idaho not to move. Okay. I'm going to take my VersaFine ink, just basic black ink. I'm going to ink this up really, really well. Now, when I use an acrylic block, I just have one shot. So I do have to make sure that I have plenty of ink on this ink pad or on this stamp. Okay, I think there's more than enough ink on there. And move that. Okay, so I'm going to center it in that space where it's big enough. Set it down, and I'm putting just the slightest amount of pressure. I'm not smushing it down. I'm not squishing it. I'm just letting it sit here for a minute. Let that ink have a minute or so to transfer onto the wood. You could also cut these out, and you could actually iron on vinyl. You could use adhesive vinyl. You could do infusible ink. This is a lot of creativity could go into these. Okay, so here we go. Ha! Look at that! Isn't that pretty? Oh, just love it. Okay, now let's do another bow. Kind of the same thing as the first. I'm going to just fold it in half, send that through. Okay, and then pull the strings through the loop. Okay, let's test. If I hang it, that actually hangs relatively straight. Like, I'm actually kind of impressed. I expected it to be super wonky one way or the other. So I think it was a good choice to put that hole up there. Okay, so that magnet was actually pretty handy. Let's get this tied up here. How long do I need that? About right there. Okay, just gonna kind of hold that together there. Actually, I want to bring this through. Then we can hold it. So before you pull it tight, if you pull the little strings down towards you, kind of gets them out of the way, and they're more likely to hang down. Okay, and then we'll just clip those off. And then there we go. We have our cute little Idaho ornament. How fun is this? These are great. I love these. Okay, well, I hope you found this tutorial on the knife blade with the Cricut Maker 3 very helpful. This is a lot of fun. I could see using this for so many things to use around your home or give as gifts. Like, really, this guy's the limit. So if you made it this far, put a little mountain emoji down in the comments below, or you could put, I don't know if they have a Texas, but you could put the Texas flag or even a star emoji down below in the comments, and let me know what you think of the knife blade and if this is something that you might try out yourself. All right, well, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until I see you in another card or craft, as always, have an amazing day and happy crafting.
Thank you all so much for watching today. I'm so glad that you can join me at my craft table. If you're not already, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when new videos arrive. Have a great day, and as always, happy crafting.